I'm Shana Prentiss. I am the theater teacher here at St. Teresa's. I have been here, this is my 16th year teaching at St. Teresa's, and I teach acting, acting 2, improvisation, and technical theater. But I grew up in a very small town up in Michigan called Ludington. Great place to grow up. It was very small, about 10,000 people total. And it was just a great community to grow up and kind of find myself. But it was through theater in high school that I really kind of started figuring myself out and sort of getting comfortable in my own skin and realizing that I had talents and I had abilities, that I wasn't stupid, and I had something to offer the world. So theater kind of saved me in many ways, because I was that kid that would walk down the hall that I was friendly to everyone, but I didn't really necessarily make eye contact with people, or I wouldn't speak first. I would wait for other people to speak to me, and then I would be very friendly and nice to them. But I always kind of assumed that people really wouldn't want to talk to me. I didn't really know why anyone would want to take their time to talk to me, so I never wanted to initiate that conversation because I felt like people wouldn't be interested. And I know that there's a lot of kids that feel that. So it's nice to be an adult now and realize, wow, I wasn't the only one that went through that. I wasn't the only one that felt that way. And it was really through getting involved in my high school theater program that people started paying attention to me. And suddenly I'd have people walking up to me and saying, wow, that was a really great performance. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know my name. And I would be totally stunned by that, and think it was really, really cool. So theater was my saving grace. And it's kind of what led me on my journey to become a high school theater teacher, was that high school experience. I actually was working, when I graduated college I went to Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri, and I moved to Kansas City with my husband. I didn't know anybody in Kansas City, and I had just graduated college, and I wasn't sure really what I wanted to do. I had studied theater. I knew I didn't want to be a professional actor, but I knew I wanted to do something in the theater world, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So when we moved to Kansas City, I did some auditions, and I did a couple of shows, but none of them really made me happy. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. I worked for Houlihan's Restaurant Group for 5 years in their corporate office. I started in the restaurant and then I moved into the corporate office doing different things, and I was pretty miserable. I really hated working in an office, and I just realized that I could not do that for the rest of my life. I couldn't sit at a desk and do the same thing over and over and over again for the rest of my life. So I was like, I have to do something else. I have to go back to school. I have to do something that isn't this. There was a part of me that always wanted to teach. I loved my high school theater program so much, and that's really kind of what I wanted to do. But again, because I was insecure, because I was not comfortable in my own skin, I kind of lacked the confidence to say, I'm going to do this. And it was really through this working in an office and knowing that I couldn't do that forever that I finally said, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. So I went to school for teaching, and I took classes. And I was at my office job one day, and actually the first time I ever walked on St. Teresa's Academy campus, because I'm not from here, I didn't know the school, but at one of my classes I had to do an observation at a secondary school. I had to do an elementary school and I had to do a secondary school. And I chose St. Teresa's because it was 5 minutes away from the office I was working in. So I could go on my lunch break and get back on time and not miss any work time. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm gonna go to St. Teresa's. I don't know anything about it, but that's what I'm gonna do. And the first time I walked on campus, I was doing an observation with an English teacher at the time. Her name was Kathy Lamb, who's not here anymore, but she taught English. And I remember the first time walking on this campus, I was just stunned. I was like, what is this place? I had never experienced single-sex education other than college, but I hadn't been in a single-sex environment in high school. I went to a public school, so the whole private school thing was a little weird to me, and the single-sex thing, and I was like, wow, this is going to be very strange. And within a half an hour, I was absolutely in love with the place. I went home that day and I told my husband, I know where I want to teach. I want to teach at St. Teresa's Academy. It's unbelievable. The confidence level of the students was amazing. I couldn't believe the level of conversation that was going on between students in this classroom, and I was dealing with, some of them were freshmen, and it was just something that I had never experienced, and I was absolutely in love from the moment I stepped foot on this campus. And I told myself, that's where I've got to work. I've got to get a job there. So fast forward to about a year later, my father-in-law, my husband's father, was one of my theater professors at Stevens. And so he would get job postings every now and then. And he just so happened to get a posting for St. Teresa's looking for a theater teacher. And so he forwarded it to me because he knew that I was looking for a theater job. And he said, hey, I don't know if you're interested in this at all. And I literally jumped up from my desk screaming because I was so excited at the fact that there was a job opening at St. Teresa's for a theater teacher that I called immediately to get an interview. And I went in and I interviewed, and it was a good interview. And I felt like it was a good place. I had just had my first son, Ben. So I was a little hormonal still from having a baby. I think I cried in my interview, not gonna lie. But I loved it, and it was a great experience. And it ended up coming down to two people. It came down to another woman and myself, and they decided to go with the other woman because she had teaching experience, which completely made sense to me. And they sent me a lovely letter saying, we really enjoyed meeting you. We will keep your information on record, but they have hired this other person. And so naturally I was very disappointed, but I totally understood, and everything was great. And then flash forward about 8 more months, I get a call from Nancy Hand, who was the principal at the time, saying, I don't know if you remember us, but we have a theater position open again, and we'd like to talk to you about the position. So I came in and I talked to them again, and we had another lovely conversation, and I think they offered me the job on the spot that time. I think I have a pretty relaxed teaching style. I guess I try to approach everything through mutual respect. I feel like if you are young adults and you can handle a lot of things, and I think that if I approach you with that in mind, I don't want to treat you like children. I know you're still growing, but I also want you to understand that you can handle things. So I come to you as an adult, and sort of thinking of you as an adult that can handle things. So I don't talk down to my students, or at least I try not to. And I think that if I treat you with respect, you will treat me with respect. And that's kind of how I try to approach everything. I know that this is not the most important thing that students are learning. Theater is not the most important subject that they're dealing with in a day. But I also know that there's so much value in what I have to offer for students, not just about getting grades, but about how to be a person and how to approach life and how to have empathy for other people by looking at, by stepping into somebody else's shoes and actually experiencing what someone else experiences, which is what you do when you act. You gain empathy for the world. You start to see the world in a different way. And so that's what I'm trying to bring to the table every day when I show up, is that it's not that I expect you to, be able to recite Shakespeare because that's the most important thing. But there's a worldliness that comes with understanding Shakespeare, and there's a empathy that comes with looking at the world in a different way. So that's kind of how I want to approach it. I want you to try something new. I want you to have some fun. I want you to see that you can do these things, even if it's hard, even if something is difficult. If you just try and you just play with it and you just go at it, and and it's okay to fail. It's okay to fall down and have things not work. But all you do is you just try again. That's all acting is you do something, you go, whoa, that didn't work. Let me try it again. Let's see what else I can do. Or, oh, that kind of worked, but what if I come at it from this angle? that's life. That's jobs. That's, you know, that's what people want in an employee, is somebody who can come at things from more than one angle. I want them to know that it matters, that whatever they're doing, it's good. Whether it's right or wrong, wherever they are in their lives, they're good. You're okay where you are. And that we all stumble, we all make mistakes, we all have failures, but it's the fact that we pick ourselves up and we keep going and we keep trying. And I think that is the greatest thing that I can give to students, is just feeling like you're comfortable in your own skin and feeling okay and knowing that no matter what you do, it's gonna be okay.
And our final question's a fun one.
Yeah.
If you could be anything and anything at all, what would you be?
You know what? It sounds really cheesy. I would be a high school theater teacher. This is my dream job. It's what I wanted to do. I remember so vividly standing in my high school auditorium and thinking, this is what I want to do. I want to run a high school theater program. And again, not having the confidence to say it out loud, not having the confidence to think it would ever really happen, but it was what I wanted to do. And I feel more fulfilled and more rich doing this job than anything that I can possibly imagine. It's what I am meant to do, and it's what I love, and it's why I get up every morning and show up. So it's cheesy, but this is it. This is my dream.